Hello, crafty friends, and welcome back. Today I'm playing along with Christmas in October, and I am playing along with, well, I'm not playing along, I am using the mistletoe and, oh goodness, what's it called? Mistletoe. It's the 49 Market Mistletoe and Memories. There it is. So, I have this piece of paper, which is actually on the back side of the packaging if you purchase the full um, 12 by 12 paper pack. And that's the only way to get this specific paper. So if you love this, go get the paper pack. You will love the rest of the papers that come along with it. So really I'm going to use this as kind of a shelf. And this particular layout, I wanted to focus on using the rub-ons to try and just help my photos just tell the story. So here I am digging through all the papers that I think I decided that I didn't want just the white paper, that I wanted some kind of border around the edge. And ultimately, I do decide to go with the dark red. So here is the initial design that I'm kind of thinking of. So I have this shelf. I toyed with adding another piece of paper underneath that first torn piece, but I end up going with these rub-ons instead to try and just dip down as if they're dipping down below this torn little section of the paper here. So here you can see that I am fussy cutting those out of the rub-on sheets just to make sure that I don't rub on something that I don't want to and ruin my paper as well as waste a rub-on. And so I'm also going to add these two corner star pieces to add some focal areas to kind of draw your eye into the middle. And here you can see that I pulled for deep, deep, deep within my stash. I actually had some very old 49 Market glittery flowers from an old Christmas collection. It was probably one of the first ones that I had purchased. That normally I get a lot of my 49 Market products from my local scrapbook store, and so a lot of times they tend not to get the bulky flowers as part of their standard order, and so I actually don't have a lot of the flowers from some of the collections. So here I am using two of the pieces from the journaling bits and just kind of dry fitting everything and starting to actually glue down each of my pieces before I start putting the rub-ons on. So there I have my shelf piece, and I'm just putting a tiny bit of adhesive so I can move that if I need to, based on where my rub-ons go. So I've got everything kind of dry fit where I'm going to have it. Here's where I've decided that I am going to put a border around the outside of my page. So I am trimming off a little bit on each side, making sure that you can see what I want, and I'm just double checking to make sure, do I want to use that turquoise color or do I want to use the red? And so I didn't commit to anything yet. I do decide to go ahead and start putting down my rub-ons, and so I start with this little circle piece here on this side, and adding that little circular bit there. And now I'm going to come down to these, I don't know what you want to call them. I mean, they kind of look like light drapes or something. Yeah, I don't know, but I just love the whimsical movement of them. That there's a sense of like some elegance to them, and they actually look gold. If you see them in person, um, they're very impressive. So I actually love these, and they were one of the first things that I wanted to try and use in this Christmas collection and not hoard them. Sometimes, if I fall in love with something and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do them justice by using them, just use them because something just as beautiful is going to come out next year, and then you won't use those either. So I've just started to make myself use the things. If you love it, use it, and yeah, something new will come out that you fall in love with again. So here, getting those corners on to try and help draw the focal point into the middle of my layout and the photos here. So those were fun as well to add in there. Um, let's see. And so you can see they go on really easy. I just usually do an initial rub on and then I slowly pull off the paper on each one of them. And then if there's little areas that didn't rub onto the paper, then you can just either go back in with your rubbing tool, your fingernail. As you can see, I've used the end of my tweezers as well. I like to use my tweezers to grab one of the edges, and then there you can see I'm actually using the edge of my tweezers to just give a little bit of additional pressure in some areas as I am pulling that up here. So just kind of fitting again some of my laser cuts here as I get further along and adding some of my rub-ons, and I decide that I can salvage some of that burst rub-on so it's not going underneath the paper. I will use my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher just to make sure that the backing of the rub-on sticks with that actual rub-on so it doesn't get ruined, and I just put it back in the packaging and I will be able to use it for another day. So these were a little bit more fiddly just because it has those tiny lines. I did need to make sure that I put pressure on each of those lines to make sure that they did adhere down to the page quite well. And so here I'm just using up some of these tiny pieces and making sure that any gaps that I had between like papers and where the design of the rub-on, did I need to fill anything in. So that's what I was working on there, to visually either fill in gaps or just use a tiny piece that I'd cut off a rub-on. And so here is, I guess you would call that my title. Now, you could either use Joyful Memories as my title, but honestly, I'm with my friend. I met her in Vegas. She lives about 2 hours north of Vegas. I live in Iowa. And in December, one day I was working, and all of a sudden I just decided, I had this feeling that I needed to go visit my friend. And she did. She needed me to come visit her. So it was a good visit for both of us. But the title that I'm using is Cheers to the Naughty List, because let's be honest, sometimes when we're together, sometimes we can be kind of naughty. And sometimes we can be nice too. But anyway, so getting the rest of my flowers on here, I am using hot glue to adhere those on just because they are a little bit more bulky. It just makes sure that they stick down really good there. And so really the picture here is just a picture of us documenting us walking around that first night together in Vegas, and we are in front of a Christmas tree. So just putting this memory together and getting it down and documented. So I will add my journaling later after the final photos in that little section between underneath the flowers in the upper right hand corner. So, and here is where I'm putting the final touches. I am going to use my distress tool here by Tim Holtz, distress the entire outside area here of the layout, and then I did ultimately decide to do the burgundy paper here, and I love that paper so much I believe I did decide to gut it. So here I'm cutting off the branding strip, and I bring in my other trimmer here to gut out the middle because that color is just gorgeous. So 49 Market, if you're listening, I would love an entire collection that's not related to Christmas in this burgundy color because I love it. So anybody, yeah, create something there for me. Anyway, you are going to see, oh, well, here I'm also adding my gold sparkles here because all of the rub-ons had a gold tone to them. And that's pretty much going to wrap things up. So here come the close-up shots. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to leave those down below. I will have a link to all my social media accounts as well as to the playlist for everybody playing along with Christmas in October. And let's see. So if you are new here, thank you for stopping by. If you wouldn't mind giving me a like and subscribe. And I hope that you come back and see what I create next time. So thanks for stopping by. We will see you next time. Bye.